Hi guys, welcome back to Chess the Matthew. So on this video, I will show you on how to win in the KADAS opening in just 16 moves. So the set opening start with the first move of h4, in which at the first glance we shall see that it doesn't control the center, but stop any occupation or development to the g5 square because of our h-pawn, and later on we can push a rook to h3, in which we can develop a rook here through a rook leaf, and maybe we will put it in the center to control and attack to the enemy's camp. So here after h4, my opponent plays the move e5, in which it is a principled move that controls the center and opens some diagonal lines for his bishop and for his queen. So here I simply play the move c4 to go back and principle and opening that control the center beyond anything. So here my opponent just play a principal move with knight f6, controlling the center while developing a piece. And here I play the move e3, again tries to cope up and control the center. So here he played the move d5, again opening some lines for his bishop and controlling the center also. And after c takes d4, knight takes d4, and knight f3, we shall see in this position that it attacks now the undefended pawn on e4 while developing a piece on this position. So here he defended the e5 pawn with knight c6, and again I develop another piece which also control the center and attack the enemy's pieces with the move knight to c3. But here my opponents just simply play the move knight d to b4, in which it attacks the weakened square of the white's camp. So here I simply play the move bishop to b5, tries to pin down his knight with an intention to capture later on the e5, because this knight cannot no longer go for his duty to defend the e5 pawn because it was pinned. But here my opponent simply plays the move bishop to f5, in which the idea is to support the c2 square so that the black can land there his knight to c2 and have some fork to the white's king and rook. But here I simply play and grab the e5 pawn, in which I go for my idea after pinning his knight and winning a pawn on this position. But here my opponent also goes for his plan after bishop f5 and play the move knight to c2, giving a fork and a check, and after king f1, and here the black wins rook on the a1. So we shall see in this position that the black now is a material up. But here the move knight takes a1 is not the best one on this position, because the suggested defense for the move on this position is queen to f6. Because here after my opponent captured the rook on a1, it gives to the white's camp a tremendous attack after queen to f3, attacking the undefended bishop on f5 and pressurizing the knight on c6, in which after, for example, this knight will fall, then later on, if the bishop will be there to capture, then it can also land a fork on this position, and also if this bishop will be moved, then there is a checkmate on queen f7. And here the suggested move after king to f1 is the move queen to f6. So after queen to f6, the black should defend his knight with d4, and after the move knight takes a1, the white here just simply attack the bishop with the pawn, and here the black will castle to pressure the d file. For example, if the white here will capture this bishop, then there is just queen to e5, exploiting that the d file was pinned on the rook to d8. And after here, for example, the white plays the move bishop takes c6, then there is queen takes to e5, and after d takes e5, rook takes d1 check, knight takes d1, and bishop to e6. We shall see in this position that although the white here is a pawn up, but still the position is rather a relative drawish, because the white can actually put some pressure to the double pawn on e4, and with also an intention to capture on the pawn on a2 after bishop to a6, and later on this knight will go for an escape and a development, for example, and start to harass the double e pawn on this position. And here after knight takes a1, I simply place the move queen to f3 with a tremendous attack on the black's camp. So here my opponent plays the move queen to f6, trying to defend the position and trying to defend his bishop and the knight, for example. Here I simply play the move knight takes to c6. So here the black cannot recapture the knight on c6 because there is bishop takes c6, giving fork on the c6 square. And here after knight takes to c6, he simply retreat his bishop to d7 to defend the a4 to a8 diagonal. But here I simply play the move knight to d5, giving an attack to the queen and also preparing for a mate in one. For example, here my opponent foolishly captured my queen, but it is already now a checkmate because there's no cover to the check to the king, and the king cannot escape, and also a capture to the chicken pieces on the 7 square. So here, after knight to d5, my opponent here simply plays the move queen to d7, trying to defend his c7. But here, again, I start an attack with queen to e4, giving a check to the king. So the black here cannot actually afford to cover with his bishop because there is 3 attackers versus 2 defenders. So here, after queen to e4 check, he simply plays the move bishop to e6, covering the check. But again, I play the move knight to a5, giving a check again with the bishop. So the king cannot escape, cannot capture the chicken pieces. So the only move here is to cover the check. But after knight takes b7 again, attacking his queen. And here my opponent simply retreat his queen to b8, but it is over now after 16 moves because there is bishop takes c6 checkmate. The king can no longer escape the check because there's knight. He cannot also cover the check because his bishop was pinned down by our queen. So there's no cover, there's no escape, there's no capture to the cheating pieces. So it is already now a checkmate after 16 moves. So just a recap, in just 16 moves with the KADAS opening, I win after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So I hope you enjoyed this video and please don't forget to subscribe.